So recently I asked some of you guys on my community tab to give me some of your Freedom Planet fan theories, and some of your responses were pretty insane. So let's get into it. Also, at the end of the video, I will give my personal theory that is actually pretty good and I think has some good merit to it, and I haven't seen anyone else talk about it. So here we go. This first one is from @MrKicks7817. And this is their theory. Freedom Planet 1 was originally going to be a game about Torque, who would have controlled like a mix between Sonic and Mega Man, leaning more towards Mega Man gameplay. Lilac, Carol, and Milla were just going to be side characters whom Torque met during his quest to stop Brevin. The idea was scrapped because funny Bat VTuber was already working on Lilac's gameplay back when it was just a Sonic fan game, and wanted to improve on it rather than scrap it, and started completely over with the new game. Now, this theory is pretty interesting because it's more about the game development side of things, so there really is a chance that this could just straight up not be true. If this was true, I think it would have been mentioned by now, but it hasn't, so I don't think it's true. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's true. It's just very unlikely in my opinion, given that Freedom Planet has been around for almost 11 years. And speaking of that, fun fact, even though we're not in a fun fact video, the Freedom Planet franchise is older than Splatoon and FNAF. I know, you would think it's younger than that, but Freedom Planet is a pretty old franchise, all things considered. That means in the span of Freedom Planet getting 2 games, FNAF got like 6. This world is completely unfair. This next one is from @TheNoiseRaider, and they say that Murga was Lilac's aunt. Now, there isn't a lot of evidence to support this, but again, I would not be surprised if it is true. The only issue I have with this theory is that Murga is hundreds and hundreds of years old, and Lilac is only 18. For this to work, it would mean that Lilac's egg was in some sort of time stasis chamber, just like how Murga was in a stasis chamber for hundreds of years. Or that the water dragons simply live much longer than normal human beings. All things considered, this theory is pretty decent if they can explain the plot holes. Moving on to the next theory, this one is from ULTM Swag. I don't know how to pronounce the first bit. And they say, "I'd like to think that Spade left the red scars after the second game because he finally realized that he's gone too far and hopes to make amends with everyone in the future." Now, this is pretty wishful thinking, but I would love to see Spade have a character arc like this in the third game, where he comes around and leaves the red scarves, or maybe we finally see the leader of the red scarves and they disband and team together to finally beat the head admin or whatever. It would be an absolute awesome character arc. I think Spade needs way more love than what he currently gets in the games. It always feels like he's getting the short end of the stick in every game, especially the first one when he was literally going to be a playable character and they just cut him for some reason. I'd love to see him kind of be like an anti-hero where he randomly shows up, kind of like Vegeta or Piccolo, and kind of helps fight the big bad. I think it would be great, honestly. Him making amends with Lilac would also be a really cool character arc, so while this isn't a theory per se, it's definitely more of a prediction. I still think it would be really, really cool to see, and I really do hope that it happens. This next theory is from Stardust Dragon Z. Thank you for having an easy name to pronounce. And they actually have 2 theories. The first theory is that the Kingdom Spiral affected the natural energy / ki of Avalis, allowing the possibility for key cultivation DBZ style and super forms. The second theory is the Kingdom Stone / Spiral is more powerful than the Master Emerald. Now, this is some pretty interesting stuff. Now, personally, I would love to see super forms in Freedom Planet. Like, bro, please give it to us. It would take a franchise that I already thought was peak and make it peak times infinity, dude. Like, bro, super forms are so cool. I don't care about anyone who says, oh, it's too much like Dragon Ball. Oh, it's too much like Dragon Ball. We gotta keep... Like, bro, can you shut up? Like, respectfully, shut up. Like, just stop talking. No one wants to hear you talk. No one... You're just a nerd emoji. Like, transformations are cool, bro. I don't care what anyone says. And you're playing Freedom Planet, which is inspired off of Sonic, and Sonic gets a lot of his stuff from Dragon Ball. So, like, just come on, dude. As for the second theory, it's definitely more of a power scaling debate, and I don't want to get into that because I like my head being on my body. so I'm not gonna get into that debate, even if it's true. Moving on to the next theory from Zach Gaming. They say, I'd like to theorize that Corey Sohn, aka Corey, joined Murga's army just so that she can provide battle for Carol. Out of all the theories, I think this is the one that is pretty much confirmed in game. There's a lot of dialogue that just straight up confirms it, so I think this is the most true theory out of the bunch. This next theory is from Connor Blystone, and they say, the Sonic and Freedom Planet games take place on the same planet. It's just that Sonic takes place on the Western Hemisphere, and the Freedom Planet games take place on the Eastern Hemisphere. The reason why Sonny and his wife look like Sonic and Amy along with having those dreams is because he saw the events of Sonic Adventure 2 on TV and thought they were really cool. Alright, now for my opinion. I love this theory, everything about it is great, and it would be really cool if it was true. They never have to acknowledge it in game or anything, it would just be a really cool callback and thing to have in the background. But there's one giant plot hole that I think makes this theory completely untrue. And that is, the planet is called Avalis in Freedom Planet, and it's confirmed in Sonic lore that it is called Earth. No, y'all can argue for however long you want, it's not Mobius. Even if it was at one point, it's now confirmed to be Earth. They've said it so many times at this point, it is Earth. Stop arguing about it, it's Earth, not Mobius. Sonic Frontiers also debunks this theory with the whole ancients coming to Earth and having the Chaos Emeralds, which kind of clashes with the whole idea of dragons coming from outer space as well. It's kind of crazy how those games came out in the same year and have such a similar plot. Still, it would be cool if it was true, but I don't think it is. But I'm not opposed to both franchises taking place in the same universe, or maybe even same solar system. That would be cool. I think that is definitely just as likely, and I think would be really cool if it was a thing. This next theory is from @Surfer, and they say, not much evidence on this, but maybe Neera comes from royal blood. I mean, she's one of the only Freedom Planet characters to use magic. Plus, she was, for some reason, raised in the Magister's palace / castle. Maybe I missed something though. So I decided to do some research on this, because I swear I could have seen something about this. And according to the Avalis Archives wiki, the site that I've visited 10 million times, y'all should really give me royalties. I'm the one giving you money. I'm the one who's giving you half of your money at this point. Neera used to be a priestess, so she probably does hail from royal blood. That would mean that Avalis also has a religion, which is pretty interesting. It probably involves the dragon that they thought came from the sky and created the Kingdom Stone, but we know that's not true because of Pangu. So that's probably why she's not a priestess anymore, is because it was confirmed false. But yeah, interesting theory. I honestly think I believe it. This next one is a bit of a funny theory, and it's from Yeah, I'm not saying that. And they say, after the second game, Carol got her solid gold motorbike, and then it melted, and then she had a full-blown villain arc trying to make solid gold bikes possible. Now, I'm gonna be honest, we need this. Someone should make a fan comic or maybe some fan art or something, because it is amazing. Just the idea of Carol going absolutely ballistic just trying to make that motorbike is hilarious to me. All because Milla had to be a nerd and say it's not possible. Like, come on now, man. Now this next one is pretty funny, and it's from @DolphinCube, and they say, theory that totally isn't a joke and that should be taken seriously at all times, 100%. Lilac has a bell on her for when Carol doesn't listen or talks back. There are only 2 words I need to describe this theory. Absolute cinema. This is another one of those ideas that we need a fan comic or fan art. Please, that'd be hilarious. Please, someone make that happen. Now, this one is quite the doozy and goes a lot into detail on Lilac lore, so here we go. And it is from @Bazer, and they say, ah yes, time to obsess about Lilac lore. One of the most common theories and speculations that get thrown around the fanbase is where Lilac came from and what her non-dragon half is. Barring the whole Lilac's scrapped water dragon father thing, people have assumed that Lilac's egg may have been created through science. via a still alive and working in hiding Cordelia, with the intention of restoring the water dragon population. The fact that Murga also lost a young half-breed who just barely entered adulthood when she was literally bioengineered for combat pushes the belief. However, some of these devs/game development team said that this is a false assumption in a specific discussion post on Steam. Whether this is truly false or a potential cover-up for Freedom Planet 3 Lilac backstory, no idea. I've also seen an alternate take on the theory where Lilac's egg is actually a natural occurrence, that she may be the daughter or the descendant of Amaranta, the water dragon who wrote the historical book that reveals what actually happened to cause the Dragon War. This is also backed up by the fact that the residence list shows Spade's residence as Shangmu. Combined with Amaranta's book also being found in Shangmu, this implies that some water dragons, including Amaranta herself, fled to Shangmu, Spade stealing Lilac's egg from the water dragons, living quietly in Shangmu, or an isolated location near it. After the war is much more plausible than the bioengineered egg theory, because he was just a kid at the time, and him traveling across the ocean to Perusa just to steal an egg and come back sounds way too much of a challenge and investment for a kid his age at the time. As for Lilac's other half, the popular guess is a deer, or something similar, due to her tail. Trying to determine her other half by horns may or may not help much when the statues in Adventure Square's Perusa History Museum show the water dragons have horns. Problem is, Murga doesn't have any, and the water dragons are stated to be very genetically diverse, or were before the Earth Dragons subjugated them. There's no telling if horns are a pure trait or a half-breed trait, or both. Lilac's tail is really the only glaring trait that could be used to narrow down the list of potential species, and even that part is portrayed inconsistently across official artwork and in-game sprites. Trust me, I know. Extra bonus that makes the whole thing even crazier. Amaranta is a name of Greek origins that means flower that never fades, and is associated with the amaranth flower, which can be purple in color, among others. Coincidence? I think not! Oh my god. Now, this theory is pretty crazy. Starting off with the whole Cordelia made Lilac's egg artificially, that would actually make a lot of sense to me. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it is true. But the developers saying that it's not true is like when the developers of Sonic try to say that there's no Dragon Ball inspiration in Sonic. It's clearly a thing, but they just deny it over and over. There's no way it's a coincidence. It makes perfect sense. But I will give them the benefit of the doubt and say that it is not the correct theory. Now, saying that Lilac is a half deer is kind of a random choice, especially because deer in the Freedom Planet universe are really tall, and Lilac is more of an average height size. Looking at her tail, again, doesn't help because of how inconsistent it is. I made a whole section on that on my Freedom Planet Fun Facts video. Also, we don't know for sure if Murga has horns or not. She very well could, we just can't see them because she has that weird helmet thing on. Or maybe she cut them off, who knows? The water dragons were enslaved, so maybe they cut them off. Overall, my opinion is the bioengineered egg theory is probably the most likely, but to be honest, I wouldn't want it to necessarily be true. I would love to see a plot where Lilac reunites with her parents, or at least learns more about them, but if it has to be true, we could have a really cool plot where Lilac goes on something like a Shadow the Hedgehog arc, maybe finds out that she's bioengineered, starts questioning her identity and purpose, and then we get her singing I Am All of Me, where she finally finds her purpose. That would be awesome. Have her use a gun, then have her ride a motorcycle, then have her wear shades. It would be awesome. I would love it. I would play that game 100%. As for the Amaranta thing at the end, yeah, that's pretty good evidence, and I think it supports the idea. Honestly, both theories are pretty good, and I could see both of them being right. I honestly think that the bioengineered egg thing is more likely. Maybe Amaranta had something to do with the whole bioengineered egg theory. I think that it is the bioengineered egg theory. I don't want it to be, because like I said, I want Cordelia to stay dead. But if she's going to stay alive, this would be a cool trade-off to have. So another theory that I've had for a while is that Lilac's egg isn't bioengineered and her mom is this statue in Adventure Square and her dad is this statue, but he did something bad or something to get it torn down, and this statue of Lilac's dad is whatever she's mixed with. And my main reason of why I think this is Lilac's mom is because Lilac says that she finds the statue familiar when you interact with it, which honestly is really, really good evidence. Maybe Lilac is a half earth dragon or something. I think that could be pretty cool to have, but maybe not as well. Who knows? Again, trying to guess these things are really, really hard. There's so much evidence for each one of these theories that it's so hard to pick one. So I'm gonna let y'all debate in the comments. Alright, after that long one, let's get back to some funny ones. Now this one is super controversial. Here we go. And it's from @thatguy990. And they say, Lilac is not forklift certified. Oh, heck no. Lilac is obviously forklift certified. What are you talking about? Just look at her next to this forklift. There's no way. Just because she can't drive a truck doesn't mean she can't drive a forklift. Nah, that's it. You filled me with so much rage. You're banned. Here's another silly one from... Oh my god. Why? I'm only gonna try once. @our node 983 and 998. I can't even say the numbers. 9873. And they say, what do you think the real war dogs look like? And I was thinking, Milla's mutant boss form, it really isn't a mutant form. Or is it her battle form? Or maybe she's one of the war dogs Brevin activated. Now, I know this is supposed to be just a joke, but honestly, I could actually see Milla's mutant form to be a type of battle formation or battle form. It could honestly lead to the other very popular fan theory that Milla's going to be evil in the third game. And honestly, I want to see that. I know, it's an unpopular opinion. People really don't want that to happen, but I want it to happen. And the main evidence I could see supporting this theory is that Brevin knew Milla, presumably, before we did. So he knew how to unlock her battle form. And then in the third game, she learns how to control the form and use it for good. Totally not a ripoff of Fleetway Supersonic, trust me. Overall, I would love to see this. And I would love to see this in a plot of Freedom Planet 3. Imagine the gameplay you could have transforming into Mutant Milla. That would be so cool. Again, super forms. Think about it. Alright, back to some more serious ones. And this one is from From @AZDAO. And they say Torque might come back in Freedom Planet 3 if Brevin actually comes back. And honestly, I think this is all but confirmed at this point. If Brevin is coming back, which I think there is a 90% chance that he does, it is a no-brainer to have him come back. I would love to see him come back. He totally deserves it. He was the only character absent in Freedom Planet 2. Even Brevin kind of showed up in Freedom Planet 2. So yeah, I would love to see this and it would be awesome. I think he totally deserves it. Speaking of Brevin, this next one is from Drop Dash Animations. Again, thank you for having an easy name for me to say. And they just say some simple words. Brevin is Torque's dad. Now, this one, in my opinion, would be an amazing plot twist. They could totally do the Luke, I am your father parody if this was true. It has to happen if this is true. The likelihood of this happening, though, is kind of up in the air. Though, the only issue I have with this theory is that if Brevin was Torque's dad, Torque would have said something by now. So he either A, doesn't know about it, or B, it's not true. So I think those are the only two options. So either Brevin is keeping something from Torque or not. And for our last theory, before I give my personal theory that will rock your socks. Why did I say that? Anyway, this theory is from, gosh darn it, @3chodraco, and they say Lilac's twin tails are actually wings or something similar. When Brevin was torturing her after Terminal Base, she doesn't have them, and you can see them on the table beside her with the bloodied ends where they would have been attached. Now, I personally don't believe this theory because no other water dragon is shown to have wings, or earth dragon for that matter. Like, not even the Pangu dragon has wings, he just kind of floats there. So I would assume none of them on Avalis have wings. And also, the reason why Lilac has bloodied ends on there is because Brevin ripped the root off of her hair. It's not actually a part of her body. That's a very, very common misconception. Okay, now for my personal theory. Here we go. Are you ready? In Freedom Planet 1, Lilac and Milla have a conversation about how when it's all over, they're gonna go shopping for some clothes and have a, quote, girls' night out. Lilac even mentions how Carol would never put on a dress and doesn't like to go shopping. Now, out of all the characters to get a redesign in the second game, who was the character to keep the same outfit as the first game? That's right, Carol. I know, kind of a crazy theory, but there's too many coincidences. Lilac and Milla went shopping, got their new clothes, and wore it in Freedom Planet 2. There you go, that's my theory. It would be a crazy theory if that was true. I think it is true. I personally 100% believe this theory. It'd be an awesome theory if it was true, and there's really no reason to say that it's not. But hey, those were just theories. Freedom Planet theories! I knew I'd do the joke eventually. Thanks for watching. Seriously, thank you for the support on the videos. I really appreciate it. I would love if you would subscribe, maybe. That would be cool. I really want to make money off of these videos. I think it would really be nice to make money off of something that I love to do, to talk about. Making money off of your hyperfixation. I think that's every person with autism's dream, is to make money off of your hyperfixation. That would be awesome, dude. Like, so if you can subscribe, that'd be awesome. I'm trying to get monetized, so yeah. See ya.